it's late at night, so I'm not gonna wake nobody up. So I got this sitting here trying to go to sleep, and I ran across this YouTube short and had Whitney on there. And Whitney was talking and she was praising Anthony and how I'm not sorry, not Anthony. Lord, I don't put Whitney Houston, rest her soul, with Anthony Jesus. She was talking about Bobby, not Anthony. Oh Lord, y'all be blaming Anthony for that. First of all, I want to say rest in peace to Whitney Houston, one of my favorite all-time singers. Well, I still think she is the greatest of all time because she had the emotion and the heart and the soul of an angel. When she walked into a room, she demanded the attention of that room. Whitney was special. The day Whitney Houston died, and it went on the radio, I never forget it. I was driving down Pleasant Run in DeSoto, Texas. I literally had to pull over. I cried like she was a family member because I wanted her to win. She had just came out with the movie Sparkle, and not too long after Sparkle. It hadn't been that long after Sparkle, that's what I'm trying to say. And I was so excited. I was so excited, y'all, and I was so happy, and I was just like, man, Whitney gonna make it. Whitney gonna overcome all the obstacles. I'm a huge Whitney Houston fan. I love Whitney. And when she was living, a lot of people, I thought this was going early in the morning. Why is it showing this late? I was trying to get this for the morning with y'all because I didn't want to wake nobody up. But hey, if y'all up, let's turn up. So I couldn't go to sleep, so I just decided to get on here and talk about Whitney Dam and how it relates. So I cried, and a lot of people when she passed away and during her life, they blamed Bobby for everything. They said that Bobby was this horrible husband. He was this R&B rock husband, and he tainted this wonderful artist, this beautiful artist, this angel. That he tainted her. That he had kids on her. He was this cruel and evil man who got her on drugs. That was the narrative that was pushed for years before, during, and after their marriage. Everybody blamed Bobby Brown. After people started coming out and books started being made and the Lifetime movie, Lord, how Jesus. But not just that, we even started to see family members who came out afterwards because nobody wanted to disrespect the great Whitney. And again, you talking about somebody who I'm a die-hard Whitney Houston fan. I love Whitney Houston. But I'm going to tie this into this Amber and Anthony storyline. After family members and everybody started coming out, they told the truth finally and was like, she had these issues before Bobby. She had this life before Bobby. But because he was a man and because he was, you know, out there, a lot of people blamed him for bringing down a princess, somebody on the pedestal. And she never asked anybody to put her on that pedestal, really. She didn't ask people to act like she was perfect and she was this and that. She gave her life to her fans to make sure we were good. She couldn't live her life because she always tried to make people think that she was a certain way instead of just being herself. And I think about the Jersey, the Jersey girl, Whitney Houston, who was down to earth, who was just a regular girl who was blessed with a wonderful God's given talent, one never heard before. But just like a lot of good girls, she liked bad boys. Let's talk about it. Amber. I read so many comments because I said that Amber and Anthony would end up back together because they are two of the same, because they hurt one another. And once again, the level threes came for me. And they used to ask the question, why would I want Anthony with Amber? And why would I want Amber with Anthony? Anthony has done her so wrong. He's been manipulative. He's been a narcissist. He's been this and that. But just like with Bobby, they forget Amber had a past before Anthony. She was Anthony from Detroit. She was Anthony who wanted Mike, her high school boyfriend. Mike who called her Black Tie. If you don't know about Black Tie, shut up when it comes to Amber. If you don't know about Black Tie, which is what Mike called her when she spazzed out on the skits on him and then Wayne, when she was blocking in Wayne's car. I would say just like with Whitney, with the Amber character. And we just talking about analogies here. So please don't nobody go all deep and hyper psychological and doing all this. I'm just giving my analysis and my twist based on real life situations and how it applies to the skits. Amber was not a princess with no sin. She had a crazy side. That's why Mike called her Black Tie. Because Black Tie is the one who I would get to twitching. Black Tie was the one who blocked in Wayne. Black Tie was the one who didn't take breakups too good. Black Tie was the one trifling enough to see a man in a committed relationship with a woman like Mike was with Ro, and then go after that man anyway. And I'm not saying this, and I want the level threes and above not to take this as I'm trying to bring up Amber's past. But we have to know the past before we can talk about the future. And a lot of people who talk about the Amber character who are extremists, and I'm going to call y'all extremists, that's what you are. I'm not talking about people who want to see Amber win. I'm not talking about people who love the Amber character. I'm not talking to the people who want Amber to smile and be happy again. I'm talking to the people who really don't even know this character to her core because you ain't been watching the skits long enough. And I know this to be true because when I did the videos and the side by sides, a lot of people said, "Wow, I didn't know this happened." A lot of people said, "Wow, um, I didn't know that happened. I didn't know Amber and Anthony was like that." A lot of people have forgotten the old skits. That's why I took the time out on my page, not to just talk a bunch of gibberish or try to be argumentative with people, but I have several playlists. I have a playlist that's called The Story of Amber, where if people took the time out instead of arguing and going back and forth and saying Anthony is such this hateful person, that they would go back and look at all the skits, all the surveillance, and see what Amber's character was when she met Anthony. When Amber met Anthony, she was broken. She had been broken by Wayne. She was on her way to get her business back, starting Bar 44, but she didn't have enough money. So she was introduced to Wayne like she was I'm sorry, she was introduced to Anthony through Phil. Just like the deal was brought to her with Dave when she needed help with that restaurant. The difference is when she met with Anthony, Anthony talked numbers. And this is all on I'm going to find the video that I did on this. So you guys who are willing to look at this story and wonder why I think the way I think, you guys can go back and look at it and see the actual videos of when Amber and Anthony first met. Anthony came to her like a businessman. He talked numbers. He wasn't just overly impressed with her smile. He told her she was going to have to bring more money to the table. He handled her like a true businessman. There was no overly flirting and all of that. During the courtship of Amber, similar to his courtship with Denisha, Anthony courted this woman. He loved her. He didn't try to sleep with her. He wasn't trying to have sex with her every time he seen her. He was in love with her spirit. He told her repeatedly what his grandfather told him about finding a wife. He told her repeatedly that he loved her and he was patient and he would wait on her. And you know what she was doing during this time that he was patient and he was waiting on her and he was showering her with things like he's doing Denisha? She was sleeping with Wayne the whole time. That black and white picture that's in the video I sent that says, "I will always love you." That's when she had just got through having sex with Wayne and Anthony came over. And she told Anthony that she couldn't be with him intimately because she was on her period. So he said, "Oh, baby, sex don't matter. Let me go get you something to eat. You need me to get a heating pad? What you need me to do to make you feel better?" This man catered to all of Amber's needs. He loved her. He loved her. He didn't push sex on her like all the other men. The video of when Anthony introduced her to Shania. And he said, "This the one. I absolutely love her." And she knew she was still having sex with Wayne then. Shania was trying to get Anthony to get a prenup. And he said, "No, this is forever. This is my wife forever. This is the one." When Shania left, Amber looked into his eyes and Amber said, "I don't deserve you." Knowing she was still messing with Wayne, she looked in Anthony's eyes, let him confess all of his love to her. She told him she didn't deserve him, but she also promised to be a good wife. Fast forward, the ring. He had started losing some of his money. He wasn't balling like he was when he first met her. But she said she wanted that ring. And so he got her that ring. The wedding dress was $20,000. The wedding venue, it was $250,000. He had been going broke. So you know what he ended up doing? He ended up putting his house that he bought, the only asset that he had at that time, he put what they call it, a loan on his house. Because no matter what, he wanted Amber to be happy. You know what Amber was doing that entire time? She was sleeping with Wayne. If you go on Facebook or you go to Google and you Google the videos with Amber sleeping with Wayne and Amber and Wayne prior to the wedding, Amber was called everything but a child of God. People said in the comments, if you let this woman marry Anthony, I'm not watching the skits no more. I'm going to repeat. People put in the comments that if you allow this woman to marry Anthony, I am not watching the skits anymore. I just want y'all to get an understanding of why some of the fans of Amber's healing and why some of the fans that cannot hate Anthony, because we know that Anthony and Amber have hurt each other equally. We can't forget that piece of the pie. We can't leave that out the equation. Or that means we're being fake. You can't leave out everything that happened prior to the wedding. Fast forward, everybody brings up Ro, and I have to keep bringing it up again. Yes, he stood up at Ro's wedding and confessed his love. Because just like Amber, he was weak. All he was thinking in his heart as a man is, I went broke and I'm ashamed of this and I don't know what to do and all of these things. But Ro was there as a friend. Ro was there as his friend. She gave him money. They still had some feelings for each other, but Ro had moved on with her life. Ro never really wanted Anthony, if we get in deep with that. Ro outright said she was there for a good time and not a long time. She made fun of Anthony's love for her. When Anthony told Ro he loved her before he got with Amber, when he told Ro he loved her, Ro talked about him to Shell and the other crazy one that used to be with Charles. She talked about Anthony. She said, I don't want no love. I'm just here to have a little fun. And then even when Anthony confessed his love to Ro, this is before he got with Amber, she told him she wanted to be free. It was a whole episode. Ro had on a white dress. She said, I just want to be free. I don't want a relationship. She stayed during all the drama with Chantal and Anthony's alleged baby. Another woman who hurt him, that he was a fool over, that he wasn't even in love with Chantal no more. But who is Anthony Dalton? He's a man that had set up a college fund for a baby that wasn't even his. Chantal, who we talking about now? So please understand why I can't accept people crucifying this man when he tried before the wedding to do everything right. And woman after woman manipulated him, lied, and everything else. But he thought he seen a wife in Amber. He loved Amber so much that even after he stood up at Ro's wedding, he was going to divorce her to let her free. He knew he didn't have no prenup. And yes, people have argued that the only reason he filed for the divorce because Ro told him. Let's say that's true. That's an honorable man to do that. As I was talking about earlier, let's fast forward. Amber and Anthony get back together. They renewed their vows. Amber married Anthony again after he stood up at Ro's wedding. Anthony was blindfolded, remember? Amber initiated that. Somebody today on the show, they were saying that Anthony remarried Amber twice. No, the first time, Amber blindfolded him, took him down there, still hadn't told him about Wayne. They were supposed to start over their life with truth. She still was lying to him. Still lying to him, not telling him, lying by omission. Let me correct that. Lying by my omission. And didn't tell him about the Wayne thing. The Wayne that was his business partner. The Wayne that was in their house. The Wayne that almost was the best man. Anthony had asked Wayne to be the best man at his wedding. That's how petty it got. From Wayne and Amber's perspective. But Wayne didn't accept it. Y'all, this man, all of that to take place, remarriage, all of that. He gets drunk one night, out with his wife that he loved. Shayla had been pursuing him for months, and each time he turned her down. Some could say he was dumb. When he sat on the porch and when he told her, you have to go for whatever you want, he was talking to Shayla like a sister. Shayla intentionally took that moment of weakness, went to this man who was loving on his wife. He wanted some yes ma'am from Amber that night. Amber sent him home. Dalen took him home, but she sent him home. Some could say she should have told him, hey, baby, go get in the bed. I'm going to say it over and over again that if Shayla was Dalen and Dalen would have went to that house, listen to me carefully. If Shayla was Dalen and Dalen went to the house knowing that Amber was drunk, sloppy drunk, Amber opened the door, asked him, hey, Dalen, you want some water or something? You looking for Amber back at, Anthony is back at his condo. How can I help you, Dalen? And Dalen proceeded in that house and took Amber's hand and put it on his body part, like Shayla took Anthony's hand and put it on her chest. If Dalen would have took Amber's hand and put it on his body part, and Amber say, no, 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 you are Anthony's friend. And Dalen continued, knowing that she was weak, knowing that she was drunk, knowing that she wasn't in a sober mind. Even when Dalen kissed her, that was wrong. Because Amber was not in a state to say no or push him away. But if Dalen would have proceeded to go upstairs with Amber on that fateful night, unfaithful night, and sleep with her, and Amber woke up the next morning with her bottom off or her clothes off, not knowing how she got in that bed, but seeing Dalen laying in that bed, how would y'all see this storyline? Would y'all have crucified Amber? If Amber even would have told Dalen to get out and all this other type of stuff, and then she started having these unexplained feelings for Dalen, and she went to tell him no, and they slipped into something because they say Dalen might have had the yes, sir. And her and Anthony weren't totally on strong terms, and she slipped and messed with him. And then that second time that she was in a sober mind, and she told him no. She started treating him, Dalen, look, you out of order. Dalen, I would never marry you, Dalen. That's what Anthony told Shayla. He said, I would never marry you, Shayla. Let's say that she told Dalen, I would never marry you. And then Dalen says, huh, you think Anthony's so good? You think Anthony's so righteous? What if I told you that Anthony slept with Shayla on the day of your wedding? What if I told you that Anthony slept with Shayla on the day of your wedding? What if Amber couldn't fathom that? What if Amber couldn't process it? What if Amber was so filled with anger that she wanted to unalive all them? And in the midst of this pain, Dalen gets her pregnant. Because now she's in revenge mode. Now she's in savage mode. You slept with somebody who was in my face that I work with. You slept with my best friend up to the day of the wedding. Y'all, if these roles were reversed, y'all would think different. Let's say Anthony put Amber through hell. They filed for divorce, but they decided not to do it. Then, let's say Amber, something happens with the child, they lose a child together. You know, let's say everything that happened is Amber instead of Anthony. Let's say that Anthony goes to the lake house and he finds out the baby that Amber had in the affair, because Dalen can't get pregnant, of course, was Dalen's. What if he seen Dalen in the bed with Amber? Would we look at this storyline differently? Would y'all still hate Amber if the tables were reversed? Or would you have sympathy because really, Dalen took advantage of the whole time? Dalen wanted Anthony's life. All I'm asking people to do is think differently. Why do we crucify Anthony so much when Anthony had all pure intentions when he courted Amber? Amber said it herself repeatedly. But just like in Whitney and Bobby, everybody looked at everything that Bobby did wrong in their relationship. Everybody looked at him as the one who tainted the queen. People probably still to this day think Bobby is the one who got her addicted to drugs and alcohol and all these things. But that was already there. It was already there, y'all. Amber had deep seated pain before she got with Anthony, before she met Anthony. Amber had trifling ways before she met Anthony. Anthony is not the cause of all the hurt that she's enduring right now. Anthony is not the cause of Amber not being able to be truthful with herself. Amber is so afraid of being honest, even when it came down to the Wayne issue with Anthony. Y'all forget, or y'all new fans don't know. Just like Amber is putting Dave on a pedestal, Amber did the exact same thing to Anthony. And that's why Shayla wanted Anthony so bad. Because just like with Dave, she put Anthony on a pedestal. Anthony could do no wrong. Anthony was the man she didn't deserve. The same thing she has told to Dave, which is, I don't deserve you. You don't know my past. You don't know things I've done. She told Anthony the exact same thing because she never healed from whatever happened in her past. Just like she's hiding this secret with the same man, Wayne, she did the same thing with Anthony. And for people to put in the comments and stuff, oh, Anthony did this to her. This is not, why would you, Riri, why would you want Anthony with Amber? Why would you want Amber to forgive him and get back with him? Dave is the one. The hypocrisy of all of this is Anthony was the one in 2022, 2023. Anthony was the man of her dreams, not Wayne. Anthony was her king. Anthony was the one she cried out to God to and said, God, I don't deserve this man, but thank you for this man. The same thing she said with Dave is what she said with Anthony. So my question is, 2 years from now, if this divorce finalizes and her and Dave go through similar things, let's say her and Dave get married, then Dave find out about Wayne, and then he start messing with Ernestine. All this stuff y'all saying about Anthony, are we then going to say that about Dave? If it come out that he's scamming her, are you going to say Dave was so evil and there's nothing they can't fix? Or are we going to say what the inevitable is, that she should stay with her husband, for better or for worse? Could it be that the writers are going to let this thing play out where Dave and what his plans are for Amber are worse than Anthony ever did? And if that be the case, I ask of you, or I'm asking you, would you then want Amber to heal without a man? Would you then want to see her solo and grow and shine? Or will you just want her to get with a new man to give her everything she wanted, to become partners with Wayne in business, and for her to go through this whole cycle again? God will continually put you through the same test over and over and over again until you get it, right. The world crucified Bobby, thinking he corrupted Whitney. Skitland, their real life, but Skitland. Amber was broken before Anthony. Anthony is not the source of Amber's brokenness. Anthony didn't break Amber. She was broken before they got married. She was broken before she met Anthony. Go back and watch the videos. Go back to the day one when Amber came to the skits. Amber was broken when she came to Skitland. Emery, Michael, Mike. She threw herself at Mike. She engulfed herself with Mike. And then she found out Mike had a woman. She still went after Mike. Like Shayla still went after Anthony. Shayla was wearing mom jeans. Mom jeans. Shayla was a little, almost nerdy square. Amber was the fast one. Nickname Black Tie. If you don't know who Black Tie is, miss me saying you know these skits. The whole purpose of this live tonight is to ask the question, did Anthony really ruin Amber's life? Did Anthony, as people are putting in the comments, oh, they can't get back together. If they get back together, I'm not watching the skits anymore. If they get together, I'm not. Why would you want them to be together, Riri? What's wrong with you? You want her to be hurt? My reason is I don't want her to be hurt again. If the writers let her divorce Anthony and not be with anybody until she's healed, I support that. But if the writers let her get back with her husband, if the writers let Anthony get back with his wife that he made vows to, if they both learn a lesson out of the grass ain't greener, if they both learn something from this last split, that everything that looked good might not be good for you. If Anthony learns it's not about the money, because it can always be a man with more money. Amber has not been happy for a very long time. And could it be that she met Dave, this big, tall, chocolate, dark, rich man with this huge house at a time where, once again, she had been broken because Anthony was broken. Anthony was broken by Chantal. Anthony was broken by Ro. Anthony was broken when Shayla infiltrated his marriage. Anthony loved Amber so much, he wanted Shayla to abort Kai. Let me say that again for the people in the back. He did not want Shayla so bad, he wanted her to abort Kai. Y'all, I don't even think Shayla had sex with him that first night when she got him drunk. I think she made him think they did something. But it really never happened. It didn't happen to when he came over to break it up. That was their real first time, I think. Or it'd be a hell of a plot twist. He was so drunk. And some men beast mode when they drunk. Normally that beast mode will come out within the first, hour or so. But as sloppy drunk as he was Anthony able to perform that night? When they got out the bed that next morning, Shayla was putting on clothes and he looked down. Could it be that she undressed him and nothing happened? Shayla was dressed from the top up. Did Anthony ruin Amber's life? Did he make her comfortable situation or her life better or worse? The first time they met, Amber came to Anthony asking to invest in Bar 44. Just like Amber went to Dave to be a marketer and help her with the current restaurant. If people don't see how the writers are strategically showing this story of repeat behavior, not just by Amber, but also by Anthony. Anthony never healed over Chantel baby not being healed. Anthony never healed over Ro choosing Malachi. Because ultimately she really did. Anthony never got over losing the one woman he loved for a night of pleasure. Anthony never got over Wayne. Say that again. Anthony never got over Wayne. And people will say, well, why he kick it with him? Or why he friends with him? Why do we in real life hang around people that we know don't mean us no good or secretly in competition with us? Since day one in Skitland, Anthony and Wayne have been in competition with each other over who the big dog financially. I had set this live up for it to hit at 6 o'clock in the morning so that I can go back and read the comments. I didn't know some of y'all was gonna be up, so thank you to the people that are up. But y'all, we must see this storyline as a lesson and not as a debate or argument. We have to stop looking and thinking because we see a man's indiscretions that all of the pain and all of the hurt that's on the woman came from that man. Again, Whitney, my favorite singer in the whole wide world. But even the family came out later and said he was not the originator of all of her pain. But for years, this man was hated by the media because he contaminated this princess. And if you notice, Bobby really didn't correct anybody till after the fact. While she was living, I never really seen him crucify her or say that she was already like this. Anthony, he did the smear campaign out of his pride. But everybody knows about all of his indiscretions. Everybody knows that he had a baby by Shayla. Truth be told, after he left Rose's house to go with his wife, him and Rose were over with at that point. When they kissed or whatever after the marriage and they were around each other, I believe that was after the marriage. That was all pre the stand up and when she went back to get her husband. When Amber got her husband from Rose's house, it was him and her. The Shayla stuff happened afterwards. Shayla telling him about Wayne happened afterwards. In essence, y'all, the only indiscretion prior to Denisha that this man had was having a baby with Shayla. And people magnified. It was a huge deal. But like Amber lost the baby, Anthony lost the baby too. And there are scenes where he did grieve that child. Shayla was the puppet master, always telling him Amber never wanted him. She wanted Wayne. She loved him. How many times did we hear Shayla say that? I love you. She never wanted you. She used that to weaponize him and to plant the seed even deeper that Wayne was ultimately Amber's choice. That's why I said earlier today, what the Daltons need for each other, and I'm going to close with this tonight. Anthony wants to know from Amber that she chooses him above Dave, above Wayne. Amber needs Anthony to be a man, to pour into her, to truly forgive her, to be the woman he chose to marry. She wants his respect, his love, and his protection. She don't want Wayne just to be a provider. Anthony just to be a provider. She wants Anthony to be a protector for her. And that's where he has fell short. And that's why these writers are strategically letting them both experience everything that they think the other person doesn't have. Denisha said the same words to Anthony that Amber has said. I want you to take up for me. I want you to choose me. So he hearing it again, even from the side piece. It's symbolic. Every time they would break up during the marriage, let's go back to during the marriage and who hurt who, or did they equally hurt each other? Amber had a whole situation with Aquaman. Whole situation. She was courting with the ideal of being with Kelvin. She went out of the country on trips, double date trip with Aquaman. This last time, actually moved in with Dave. They both hurt each other, y'all. They both hurt each other. They both were broken prior to meeting each other. Both. I want to leave y'all with that, both. Let both get in your spirit. And like I gave my story this morning, y'all, not just my personal family, the story of my mother and father, but I know other people with the same story. My father had other kids prior to them getting married. My mama knew about it, though. She babysitted the kids. Birthday gifts. When he didn't show up, she sent something. People can overcome infidelity. Anthony's mean spirit towards Amber is more about his hate or his disdain for Wayne. And y'all say, well, how him and Wayne can be so cool if that's the truth? Well, hell, how can her and Shayla be so cool? To the point she had started going over Shayla's house, kicking it with her, going to a get-together, a throwback, a kickback that Shayla had at the house. You can forgive somebody and not be around them ever again. Y'all don't see the similarities, what the writers are trying to do, the message that they're trying to send, which is both. But because one is on a pedestal of a queen, and the man is supposed to lead the woman, society says everything falls on the man. People will argue in comments, people will be rude in comments all day long. But the facts are what the facts are. She hurt him just as bad as he hurt her. The baby they lost their baby together. When Amber went and got baby David, when she went and got baby David, Anthony did not want that child because he knew. Not only was Kai his, he thought at the time, but Anthony knew that that baby would not replace the baby they lost. Amber wanted to replace the baby they lost with baby David. And for a while, he served their purpose. And people were mad. I was fresh in commentary then because I said, she's using him as a support tool. And that baby deserves to be loved just because he needs and deserves to be loved. We gotta start looking at the core of a situation, the foundation. Did Anthony ruin Amber's life? If Anthony would have known the truth the day of the wedding, one could argue he wouldn't have went through with the wedding. He would have lost a lot of money. You can't get back the venue. You can't take back the cake, the dress. I think he probably could have took back the ring. If he would have known about Wayne prior to the wedding, he wouldn't have went broke. I'm going to say it again. If he would have known about Wayne prior to the wedding and called the wedding off, Anthony would have never faced the bankruptcy, the being broke issue. Because remember, he went broke when he put his house up for mortgage, when he lost that deal with Phil. Amber's cousin, Phil. The only reason he did that deal is because it was Amber's cousins came to him with the deal. Did Anthony ruin Amber's life? Donna, the sad thing is, most level 3s will pick and choose from what I said. Level 3 and above, because I heard we got a level 5 now. People who refuse to see things differently, people who refuse to only see the bad that Anthony has done, most of them won't listen to this to the end. They're going to be too busy trying to go against everything I've said. And I'm not all the way right. I'm not right, y'all. I'm not the say-be-all of this thing. I'm not. I'm just giving a different perspective to it. And I'm simply asking the question, did Anthony really ruin Amber's life? And you cannot start when he started or when Shayla started the affair with him. And I want to say that slowly. The story of Anthony and Amber, the story of Anthony and Amber does not start when Shayla started the affair with Anthony. That's not when the Dalton story begins, y'all. And I believe that if this were real life, that's not where the story's going to end, with Amber getting a big house from Dave. That's not how this story ends. My prayer, if this were real life, is for Amber not to end up a tragedy. Somebody who was broken. Somebody who was hurting and the world couldn't see it. So she had to self-medicate. The world was so busy blaming Bobby that they didn't see that Whitney was hurting. They didn't see that she was struggling with some things. All they seen is your life been ruined by Bobby. But what about her healing? Did anybody really focus on her healing versus blaming him? Nobody's focused right now on Amber's healing, not even the fanatics and extremists. This woman had a panic attack today. She's been having many panic attacks throughout this whole ordeal. In real life, I would even go as far as to say Amber's on the verge of a nervous breakdown, what we call a nervous breakdown, mental breakdown. Because although she loves or thinks she loves Dave, she keep thinking, I can't tell him the truth because the truth will make him leave me. The truth will make him cheat on me. Those of you who are gung-ho with her being with Dave versus Anthony, if Dave found out about Wayne, will he be able to forgive her? Don't forget, he fired Melissa, his day one Ace Boom Coon business before anything. He fired her for Amber. He went against what his mother told him for Amber. So I leave you with this question. If Dave ended up being a dog, not somebody getting him drunk and taking advantage of him, but if we find out that morning when he was eating strawberries with Melissa that he was already messing with Melissa and Amber at the same time, if we find out he a low-down dirty dog, are we going to put him in the same category with Anthony? Or are we going to say Amber should have never got with him until she healed? Or we going to continue to blame every man for what they did to Amber and not ask the question, until Amber heals, what is she doing to herself? Women out there, I know it gets lonely. Women out there, I know you may have been hurt. Women out there, I know everybody wants that prince in shining armor. Everybody wants that man to be a provider and a protector. But ladies, heal your heart first. Heal your heart first, even if that means being alone for a little while. It's not easy being alone. And I'm talking about really alone, like no sex alone. Amen. And amen again. It's not easy being alone because then you have to deal with your demons by yourself. You have to deal with your inefficiencies and your insecurities. There's nobody there to say, hey, beautiful. There's nobody there to say, ooh, you rocking that dress, girl. Healing happens when you allow yourself to get alone and talk to God. Y'all gonna be mad 2 years from now if the same thing happens again. Same script, different cast. I've been on here an hour, and all I'm gonna say is, I love the character Amber Ty. I love the character Anthony Dalton. Rest in peace, the best singer who ever lived and done it. Flaws and all. Rest in peace, Whitney. And Lord, continue to heal Brother Bobby. Because at the end of the day, y'all, till death do them part in real life. And real love never go nowhere. Even if you split up, even if y'all not together, real love never dies. Heap Seif, you know. Let's keep watching these skits as well as praying. But let's watch them with the eye of discernment. Watch the skits for what they are, which is a lesson and a message that Jesus is popping. Good night. I'll see y'all tomorrow.